You win this battle, man, I'll soon be dead. I'll glue your face to my dick so I can fuck with your head. I got metaphors coming through my pores. You probably never been in a battle before, so I hope you realize your mistake. There ain't no party, got some candles, this will be a piece of cake.
Folks, welcome to the Before Hours podcast. We have a returning guest, Ilya Laksin. What's going on, doggy?
I was genuinely trying to remember what this. I was like the "What'd you have for breakfast" podcast. I was like, I know it's something to do with morning,
Yeah.
before hours, and then it's like, okay, yeah, before hours.
I mean, it's a very tenuous concept, right?
Yeah, no, I got you.
I was like, basically, I'm like, I want to talk to my friends for an hour,
Yeah.
and it has to have a title. And
Yeah.
like, yucks with Bobby and Ilya was actually already taken, which I thought was crazy.
It'd be weird because I've only been on 3 of the episodes, so there's a couple reasons why that might not have been logistically fruitful. But I appreciate you. Yeah, it's fun to be back.
It's fun to be. Are you still taking 2-hour showers a day?
Is that a thing I said before? I don't get. Do you want me to play along? I don't know what's happening.
Dude, okay, you know what happened is that I was prepared to ask you because I was listening to our old episode, right?
Yeah,
Not the one with Tony Sikowski, the
Yeah.
one where it was just you and me, and we were straight vibing, dude. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And and you told me that you take 2 showers a day, but as I went to go ask you this question, because I was just freestyling outside,
Yeah.
which you loved.
Yeah.
Ilya
I
loves
spoke
it
very
when
favorably. I definitely didn't compare it to Louis C.K. cornering a woman and jerking off in front of her. I definitely didn't say that's what it felt like, and that was actually worse.
No. Ilya loves it when I rap. So anyway, I meant to say, do you still shower twice a day? But then in a brilliant rhyme scheme, my brain, without me even wanting it to, said 2-hour shower. 2-hour shower, and I'm ready to devour. I could rap for an hour. Yo, I'm really sour, but I could be street. I could be sweet, but yo, check this out. I like to beat my meat. You know what I mean?
I haven't watched many episodes, but I want to ask your producer, how many times have you had to deal with Bobby going into freestyle?
He freestyled with the rest of his time last time in here.
Did you really?
I did a solo podcast the other day. Connor was nice enough to help me I'm doing some different stuff with some of my studio time here, and I had about 10 minutes left, right? And I already talked as much as I could talk about the Battle of Fort Sumter, right? So I looked up boom bap instrumentals on Spotify, and I put it next to here, and then I was freestyling.
How cool would it have been if, instead of like a band, as the Titanic went down, it was just you freestyle? Trying to accompany people. I was waiting for you to stop talking so I could make that joke.
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
I've been getting kind of gay for the Titanic lately because
The ship, or just like the whole story.
dude, if fetish theory holds through, do you know fetish theory?
I know what those words are. I've never heard of fetish.
So-
Is it just having a fetish?
The fetish theory goes that if you can conceive of something being a fetish, like if
Okay.
you can make up a fetish, it is somebody's fetish because there's 70, there's 7 billion people.
Isn't that
in
like
the
the Rule 34 thing, like on the internet? Like if someone,
world. If something
it's-
exists, a
it's-
porn is
yeah,
made out of
yeah,
it. Mhm. And then rule 35 is if a porn does not exist, you have to make a porn of it.
that's a rough obligation. It's always a gamble when I ever type something in because gotta hope something pops up because I do not have the money to produce this.
Otherwise, your weekend is
It's like,
shot.
how am I gonna call Gal Gadot? She's not gonna be into this. I try to keep
Gal
it clean.
Gadot listens, by the way.
Does she?
Mhm.
Okay. Sure. Great. That was
No,
great.
I don't know if any famous people listen. Please sound off in the comments below, or if you just want to leave a comment, say you love this episode.
Is
or,
sounding off in the comments different from leaving a comment?
it's just
You said sound off in the comments or leave a comment. Those sound roughly similar to me. So I'm just asking. I'm not asking you. You're the guy. You're the YouTuber guy. Like, do they mean different things, or did you just say the same thing in different ways?
you're by far the most frustrating guest I've ever had.
How's it frustrating? I just pointed out that you repeated yourself. Does no one else call you out on this? Is this why you invite me every 1.5 years to do the show?
Yeah, it keeps me
Gotta
honest.
space it out.
dude.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm getting from this is that you're a former lawyer, right? And you must have been a great lawyer because you're holding my feet to the fire. You're being very argumentative. You're having objections. You're overruling.
Yep. You were definitely saying things associated with the law. Yep.
Are you familiar with bird law?
Bird law? Is it anything like Rule 35?
Brother, it could be.
Is it anything like fetish theory?
Oh, that's how we got on this, right? Fetish theories. If you could conceive of it being somebody's fetish, then it is somebody's fetish.
What's your weirdest thing that you would be willing to admit on a
Oh,
public forum here?
that I like.
Yeah. No, that you hate. What's something it's like I would never masturbate? And I know interracial's off the menu for you, but like what
I do like when lesbians hit each other.
hit each other like
Like lesbians, but they're
like foxy boxing type of hitting or like UFC ground and pound?
No, I'm not talking about watching the Olympics. I am sorry, I didn't mean to get political. I'm talking about some light BDSM between one woman and another woman.
Okay.
Right? There's nothing wrong with that. I will watch some heterosexual BDSM, but if the guy gets too mean, I start to simp a little.
Oh.
Like, hey, you can't talk to her like that.
You're like Marty McFly's dad. Hey man. You can't shove that baseball bat up her ass like that.
No, I want him to shut the baseball up,
But, like,
off, but
Like,
I don't want
be
her
mean
to,
about it.
Don't be mean.
I always think that too. It's like there's being so like, yeah, you slut. It's like
Yeah.
she's being so nice right
She's
now.
letting you do a cool thing.
She's letting all you guys. She's being pretty cool.
She's being a very gracious host.
Yeah. I guess she's host. I guess sometimes she's invited over. She's a great,
yeah.
gracious host or gracious guest. Either way,
Mhm.
no need for that kind of
Yeah.
meanness.
Well, when someone asks me a question, I like to return the favor. So, Ilya.
Oh no, I was just asking you.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You could. You always. You know what? I just realized I had that option too.
Oh yeah, you had no obligation to.
You did not.
This
you did
you
not
have every right to steer this podcast any way you want. I just asked you a pretty intimate question. You're like, fuck, I gotta answer. Bob, what's your social security number?
Shit.
It's like, I have to tell it's like it's a liar, liar. Is that the premise? You just have to like, I ask you anything, you just have to tell the truth.
Is that the premise of Liar Liar?
Isn't that what happens with liar, liar?
I haven't seen
Doesn't
it.
like his son wish like, I wish he wouldn't tell or something like that?
I don't know.
Isn't something like that?
I know. I've seen the Ricky Gervais movie.
Yeah, I
The
know there's that
Invention
one.
of
But I
Lying.
don't think I've seen. Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a funny
And I
premise.
saw Schindler's List, and that's a lie. So
Oh yeah,
that's fun. You like making Holocaust. I passed the buck on to you.
brother. I listened to our last episode and I was like, I think I gotta cool it with that shit. And then almost like a dad who knows the son wants to know when dessert is.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll bring it up, son. Don't worry. It's
It is fun to bring up, but
up,
the problem is now my Twitter feed is a lot of Holocaust denial.
dude.
It's crazy. Bob.
It's crazy what happens when you just want to ask questions. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I don't know if like, because Elon Musk is like, I think other than being, I guess, a really good engineer and businessman, is like a rube and doesn't
Yeah.
know how things work. Because he was like, I'm gonna let anyone on Twitter say whatever they want. It's like, dude, have you been on 4chan? It's just going to be 4chan.
Yeah.
And now it's 4chan.
Yeah.
But 4chan already existed.
Yeah. But not as convenient user interface. So.
I know. I did delete X after Trump won the election with the help of Elon Musk. I was like, I kind of don't want to give Elon Musk money. But I also hadn't gotten new followers for months. So those two things equally were the reason I kiboshed it. Kiboshed.
Kibosh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah. So do you, as a man on the new Twitter, are you, as a Jewish man on the new Twitter, are you experiencing anti-Semitism? Or do you mean it's just like what you might be interested page?
I think it's just the way the algorithm works on anything. It's like if someone posts like an anti-Semitic meme and it's like a caricature of like a Jew and he's like stealing pennies or whatever,
Mhm.
like my eyes linger on it. Because
Right.
naturally I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't usually see that.
Yeah.
And then the Twitter's like, oh, you must like this. And it keeps showing you more.
Dude,
And
it's
then it's-
hot girls
yeah.
and conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
That's what your algorithm could so easily become that.
Yeah.
There's a guy next to me on the bus, and I was doing the thing that I always do when someone is like looking at TikToks at full volume without headphones next to me on the bus. I'm sorry, not the bus, the train.
Yeah.
So I was on the train, and he was to my right, and he was doing that just high volume.
Oh yeah.
Right. And most of it is in Spanish, so I don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
But I get the vibe that it's not like, Noam Chomsky or whatever. it's like sports and like people falling.
Yeah.
And then
that, or like an America's Got Talent competition, but from their country. It's like some
America's Got pesos.
No, you kept it America.
Oh yeah. Fuck.
That was the part you're supposed to change.
That's so stupid. No. Oh, because Latin America.
Latin America, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you got me there.
Yeah, Latin America loves pesos, and it's just a guy drinking clean water. You're like, oh my god, this is incredible.
That's like their ASMR. Just people with potable water going.
And then he one of the things he comes to is just like a hot lady dancing, and I was staring at his phone like in a way where I wasn't trying to hide it, because sometimes that makes people uncomfortable and they stop like having it at full volume and I don't have to listen to it anymore. So I was doing that, and I'm like, there has to be something else than this is a hot woman, because I'm like, what do you get out of? Is he like working himself up so that by the time he's home he could jack off? I don't understand.
It's interesting because you started that anecdote off as like, I was doing the thing I always do, and it's just sit quietly and not in any way intervene. You're just looking over someone's phone.
No, but I think what's like a tiny bit psychotic is that I did it in a way where he knew I was watching.
Do you ever judge people like for how they're using their phone? Like,
brother, if they have headphones on, they could do whatever they want.
No, I meant like the way, like, I'm trying to think of how to put this. Actually, no, it's not a phone thing. It's more like you overhear people having a conversation like at a restaurant or something and judge them by the quality of their banter. I'm like, what a dumb conversation. Like, I shouldn't be listening in, but I'm still judging them for having a shitty conversation.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes. But I also think like they can't help but have the level of conversation that they're having, right?
Oh yeah.
Like if they're just like, well, did you hear like, and they use like 1,000 times, it's, what are you gonna do? I walk over, I'm like, you should read more. I'm like, then I'm being weird.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do
I didn't say I need it, so I just say like I'm the one going out of the way to listen to it and getting annoyed by it. Like it's that extra step of like, this is my fault basically, but I'm judging them for something that they're doing to me that they're no way doing.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I took the time to ignore what my wife is saying right now.
Yeah.
And you're not being interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Or like sometimes I'll listen in on a conversation and then I'm like, I have no idea what these people are talking about. Like the complete opposite.
Oh, because they're speaking Chinese. You just don't understand the topic.
No, like they're using all these acronyms.
Yeah.
That I just start to feel silly because I'm like, I don't know what a COA is. And I almost want to be like, just tell me what a COA is.
Say, hey, I heard you say COA. I was just curious. Like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
It means cock on ass.
It's like, oh, okay.
That's how I like, excuse me, I heard you said COA. Does that stand for cock on ass?
And they're like, no, it's like, I know it's a long shot, but I really want to ask.
I just give him a quick peck on the cheek and walk away.
Nice European kiss. Goodbye. Yeah.
That would be a great way to to harass people in a whimsical way, is to like talk to another man. And then I'm like, all right, well, it was great meeting you. And then go to give him the double kiss. And then he's like, what?
Isn't that what Borat always is?
Yeah, but I don't even have the pretension of like, I'm foreign.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm overly affectionate.
Oh, yeah. When I made friends with a Colombian man, when I was in the Czech Republic, very random sentence, I know.
Yeah.
But we went out drinking together. It's back when I was a drinking man, and he was like so touchy feely that, not in a homophobic way, I was just like, oh, this is a gay guy, and he does want to fuck me. So at some point, I'm gonna drop hints that I'm not a gay guy that's gonna fuck him. You know what I mean? And in doing that, he was like, oh, I'm just South American, bro. We touch each other all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. You would hate that.
I would hate the affectionate.
I think so. You don't strike me as a guy.
No, I don't tolerate homosexuals at all. Is that where we go?
Right. Yeah. You struck me as a man.
I have a gay friend who's like incredibly touchy feely,
Mhm.
and everyone hates him. He's just like in social situations because he's one of these guys who like I think he thinks that everyone is just like one meeting with him away from also being gay. Like I think he's like got that
Oh.
like feels like, and he always like has like young twink boyfriends that he's in constant dating drama with,
Okay.
and it's yeah,
Huh.
he's not one of those down to earth gays that are.
He's not a DTEG. DTEG?
Yep.
Down to earth.
Down
gaze,
to
yeah.
earth gays. Yep.
Down to earth gaze. He's a down to earth gay. He goes each way, but goes to church on Sunday. Dude, we could write something now.
I'd love not to.
So, how many showers have you taken a day? 1 or 2?
Just the one.
Just the one?
Oh, actually, this will be a fun update on
Okay.
related somehow to the tenuous concept of the show. My wife got me a body dryer for my birthday. It's like this thing. It looks like a really large scale, like weighing scale.
Okay.
But it's like basically shoots air up like a fan, so you dry your whole body while you stand on it. And
Whoa.
it's pretty great, pretty game changer for me.
Because you've been wasting all of this time.
Well, I'm a very hirsute fella, and it's not easy to dry off, and I hate feeling sweaty or feeling like, and it takes, I just like lay under a cold fan to like dry off naturally, like fully.
Uh-huh.
And so this thing really gets the job done.
Now, how much does something like this cost?
I think maybe on like the lower end of 200 something, maybe.
I'm wondering if this is going to become a thing where, like, in a few months, we'll all have one.
I'm hoping it's one of those things like a sous vide machine, like 10 years ago. Not many people have heard of them, and now a lot of people, even like a small apartment's like, oh yeah, it's a new way of cooking. But like, yeah, I hope it becomes like an essential part of the bathroom going experience.
Mm-hmm. I was actually thinking about this today. Like, it would be so cool to cut down on the time that it takes to just maintain a body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I have some times where I'm like, well, I have somewhere to be in the morning. And then you have to do that calculation of like, well, when am I leaving? Okay, well, when do I have to be out of the shower? And then I have roommates. So that's a whole different. And I'm like, okay, I have to wake up like at least an hour before. And I'm like, I would love to, like, at what point do we reach the Jetsons era of
I have this thought sometimes, if I had like crazy wealth, I would have every inconvenient thing sort of done. Like I'd go to sleep and then have a team of people like anesthetize me while I'm asleep, and they'll like do all like fillings, like all that kind of stuff. Like to just take care of everything
right.
while I'm out. Like I would never want to feel any slight inconvenience ever.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people like probably think that's a like not go. I'm like, I would love to never experience anything that's not adding to my joy.
Dude, yeah, I think honestly, I don't have like expensive taste, you know what I mean? And I don't have like any, like these billionaires that are like, I'm going to go to the moon. I'm like, I don't have to go to the moon.
Yeah.
All right. But what I don't want to do is ever be in a subway car ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like I would like for travel, I guess you could have comfort travel. I'd be like, I just like B.A. Baracus me from the A-Team, just like knock me out and then have me wake up at the place where I need to be. I just like, and then life just becomes all the good moments and everything else he's just like skipping.
All the good moments. I love that. Yeah.
It's
like,
probably a very sad way, but I think it'd be pretty ideal.
No, I think that's, listen, I mean, if you have a bunch of money, why not do all that stuff? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think people that are either born rich or have been rich for a very long time forget how annoying the maintenance of life is. And then because you don't miss something that's absent, I guess. So you just get used to it. And then like, well, that's the hedonic treadmill, right? Is like, you just go back to baseline, right?
Yeah.
So to continually remind yourself like, hey, I have all these good things and I would miss it if it was gone. But you know what's funny? As I'm saying this, I'm like, well, I could do that now about my very privileged life. You know what I mean?
What aspects of your privilege would you?
I mean, like clean drinking water, right? Food. I mean, the price of eggs, but still, I literally just walk a few blocks and then I have all of the food. And it's literally something like I have not only access to food stamps if I need them, like I live in a society that has food stamps and I have like a pretty heavy line of credit. So even if I like even if some genie came along and it was like, you will not make any money for the next like 5 years, I'm like, well, I will still have food. Like I
Yeah.
literally won't starve. And then like the worst case scenario is I go to a food bank.
Yeah.
Like starvation, it's not going to happen to me unless things change globally,
Yeah.
you know, which we'll see. But
I feel like we're talking about two different things though. I feel like I'm just like, you're like appreciating, I think. I'm just like the opposite. I'm like, every time you get better, you can never, under no circumstances, can it ever go worse. Like every improvement has to stay. Like once you start, once you start flying first class, you can't go back to coach.
yeah,
And you can't just be grateful for the concept of flight.
yeah, that old Louis joke.
Yeah.
You're in a chair in the sky.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I think no, I'm definitely oriented that way.
Yeah.
I consciously try to remind myself that like life is good. You know what I mean?
I suppose that's a good thing, man. I don't know why it bothers me when you say it. I'm not a good person.
No?
It really annoys me when people are positive.
Are you a pessimist?
I used to be. I think now I'm just kind of indifferent.
Okay.
I joke that I'm in contrarian. I just like disagree with whatever your thing is.
Oh,
So,
I
like-
see. Okay, so you're disagreeable by nature.
I'm disagreeable in nature, yeah.
Mhm. Which made you a good lawyer, I assume.
I don't think you totally grasp the concept of being a lawyer.
I'm
Isn't
doing
just
the
being
classic
the
thing.
most annoying person possible. You actually have to kind of be.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It has to be analytical and make sense.
It depends. I don't know. It depends what.
I remember there was this kid in high school and we were all talking about like what we wanted to be as if all of us weren't going to have email jobs,
Yeah.
you know, as if 90% of us weren't just going to go,
Yeah.
hey, just following up on my previous email,
Yeah.
you know, but I remember this kid respectfully was very dumb and he decided he was going to be a lawyer because quote, he loves to argue. But yeah, he had the same conception I do of law, which is you walk into the courtroom and tell the judge to go fuck himself
Yeah.
or
Which
herself.
May or may not work. Sometimes they're like, counsel, I like your gumption.
Yeah. The
But
judge is like a hot girl that's never been told no before.
He's like, I don't even know why I'm up here. I don't know how this happened. I woke up in these robes.
Have you ever been involved in trials at all as an attorney?
Yeah, but not like jury trials, just bench trials with the judge.
Because I heard this phenomenon recently and I wanted to know if there's any truth to it. Apparently there was like a study that said if you get the judge to sentence someone right before
After
lunch,
Yeah.
right before lunch, it's like a
Correct.
really harsh one. And then after lunch,
Yeah.
after he's like had some food in his belly, he's like, okay, I'm in a good mood again.
Yeah.
So harsh sentence before lunch, like a 11 a.m. sentence, you're getting the book thrown at you,
Yeah.
right? A 2 p.m. sentence, you're getting probation and time served, you know? It's
Oh,
very-
yeah. Judges have tremendous discretion. So, yeah, that kind of bullshit absolutely happens. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And then like as a lawyer, you'd be like, can we get a post lunch? And then what? You don't know if your judge takes a late lunch or an early lunch. What if he's like
That's why it's lawyer's secret. All lawyers keep loose peanuts in their pockets and they just throw them at the judge. That's an old lawyer trick. Clarence Darrow used to do that. That's how he won the Scopes Monkey trial. Loose peanuts.
much like an animal at a zoo?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we evolved together from
Mhm.
a common ancestor.
Wasn't it there was like a big like populist sort of like precursor to libertarian guy that was like, I can't believe they're trying to teach evolution in school.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah. He was yeah. Now they're cool guys with podcasts, but back then
Yeah.
they were pretty dumb.
Yeah. But now we know better.
How many people do you think out there are getting like their political news from Dave Smith?
A surprising number.
Because
I
he's
think-
just like the least funny member of an okay podcast, and everyone's like, he's basically CNN now. We have to listen
It's
to
crazy. I was talking to Chris Faga, who knows him or whatever.
Mhm.
It was like, because I was asking, I was like, I think Donald Trump knows who Dave Smith is. Like, he's like a couple degrees away from being able to just like talk to the president,
Mhm.
which is probably not how things should be.
Right.
But that's the world.
Well, we got Linda McMahon as like the Secretary of Education or something.
Although
like
it'd be crazier though if Big J suddenly got political.
that.
It's like I don't know. I just suddenly started caring about politics.
Big
I'll throw my
J's
hat
first
to the
question to Donald Trump is,
Yeah,
have
yeah.
you ever fucked a black guy?
It's like, yeah, no. I think maybe he just like he would be so good at a town hall. I
Mhm.
think maybe that would be his ideal like venue.
Mm.
He'd crush at the debates. You know,
Yeah. Crowd work. That's basically,
crowd work. Yeah.
honestly,
That's all we want from our politicians is great crowd work technicians.
with the captions, though. You got to have the captions.
Yeah.
You and I are both sort of, we have the same timeline in that we started posting clips with like captions
Yeah.
because we're like, I guess being really good at stand up isn't important to anyone
Yeah.
anymore.
It's surprising how little that matters.
It's honestly very funny.
I could stop doing stand up and it would have no effect one way or the other.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that says more about how unsuccessful I am, but like, it's still like a fact. It's just like, yeah, being like, yeah, I guess I'll do this. It's brutal.
Dude, the amount of times I've hosted a show and then people have come up to me afterwards, they're like, "You were the best one on the show." I'm like, "Yeah, it's not supposed to work that way. It's literally not supposed to work." I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I'm the only comedian.
yeah, it's dude, the amount of people that have like closed the show by being like, please follow me on Instagram, and then
Yeah.
they spell out their Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm like, George Carlin never did that.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor would never be like, "Here's my email address. Make sure you sign up for my mailing list."
Yeah. It's
No.
super at Gmail.
Oh man. Yeah.
But
Hey,
yeah.
you were on vacation recently.
I
weren't
was.
you?
We're in the Maldives.
The Maldives. That is
Yeah.
off the coast of North, South, East Africa.
Yeah, but I would say, yeah, it's in the Indian Ocean, but I would say it's like off the coast of sort of India, Sri Lanka. It's closer there.
I
But
think
yeah.
I have no conception of like, you know how like Alaska's bigger than Texas?
Yeah.
So the way I'm picturing that country on a map is probably, I thought it was like right next to South
It's not
Africa.
really a country in its own right. It's a collection of like islands, basically,
Mhm.
and archipelagos. So it's. I mean, it is its own sovereign nation, but it consists of just all these islands, basically.
And is it, I assume they're either a former English colony or a French colony.
I believe English.
Okay. So what brought you there?
We've been a couple times before. It's just like beautiful. You ever see like those travel ads for like over the water bungalows?
Uh-huh.
Like my wife just finds really good deals, and so we're able to go, and it's just like the best place on earth. You just like your villa's like right in the water, and you could just snorkel right there, and it's all this amazing sea life and coral. It's just it's a good time.
Hell yeah, dude. Okay, so you've been there a couple times, so there wasn't any. I always ask people when they've been to a place for the first time if there was any culture shock.
I don't think I've ever. I'm trying to think of culture shock because I've been to like Southeast Asia, but like I don't. I guess I don't know. Culture shock. I feel like you have to sort of immerse yourself there, like live there for some extended period. But if you're just on vacation, I don't think you can call that culture shock.
I do think people like exaggerate cultural differences too.
Yeah.
I remember when I went to the Czech Republic, like literally everything I read about there was like, well, people they're going to seem unfriendly because they don't smile.
Yeah.
And then I went there, I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, that was very exaggerated. I was getting ready for everyone to like be really rude to me.
Yeah. I got off the plane in Thailand and I immediately threw my shoes off and started yelling at people. It was just like, I'm not fitting in at all.
You ever hear the Ari Shafir joke? What is it, an Ari Shafir joke? It's a joke about basically like, I would love to go to Thailand, but like if you're a guy, especially a man of a certain age, being like, I'm going to Thailand, everybody's like, to do sex slavery? You're like, no, just see the sights.
And
And
whatever.
whatever.
I've sort of was working on a similar joke as well. Always like, because like for women, you could just go by yourself and your friends are like, oh, it's an eat, pray, love thing.
Yeah.
But if I go to Thailand, my friends call me a pedophile for the rest of my life. Like, I can't just be into curry. But I guess I'll have to stop pursuing that joke.
Oh, I don't know. I think
I'm just going to do all his Jew material now.
you could, because you are a Jewish man, which I think is great. And,
Thank you. That is one of my favorite bits you do. I do enjoy it.
thanks. When I do it to someone that doesn't know me well, it sometimes doesn't go over well.
Yeah. You could say it's a culture shock that they're meeting you.
Dude, so many people do comedy now that I'll do like a deadpan bit like that, and like more often than not, a comic will be like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I think maybe you should pursue something
Yeah.
else.
There's so few comics that are like good hangs or like fun banter, right?
Yeah,
Like, is that like our previous generation of people
I
who
think
did that?
so.
Because like you're like yeah, you like the second we see each other like on the street, we're instantly joking, bullshitting, whatever. But there's so many people that are just like having regular conversations. Like, I don't want to connect with you on a human level. I just want to hang out with funny people.
Yeah, dude. I think so. You have what's his name? Who's the hot guy? Matt Rife. So you were gonna say Bobby Sheehan. That's why you
Yeah, I
paused.
was.
But he sort of ruined comedy in a way that it was like, have a handsome Squidward face, right? And do terrible crowd work, and also have a street joke in your first special, which is crazy. So there's that level, and then there's Neil Brennan, who's very funny, but he was like, my dad never loved me, and it's like, fuck, now 10,000 open micers are going to do that thing. Dude, I hate listening to someone's therapy. They're like, comedy's my therapy. I'm like, you should just cut out the middleman and see a therapist.
I thought you said kill yourself.
Yeah, what are that?
One of those options.
Dude, dude, there's a couple comedians. They're like, I survived. And I was like, yeah, unfortunately. Jesus.
Like, if you call this surviving, I feel like it might have taken the better part of you. I think you should call it quits. No, it's just like, they're like, I don't know. I just like bullshitting and just like, no, they're not funny off the cuff. It's just like annoying. Like, I feel like that used to be more the case. It's just like,
I mean, this is gonna make us sound old because we are, but like, dude, it used to be a thing of when you were hanging out outside of Mike, you better be ready to be a riffing Randy. You know what I mean? Just doing bits. But now it's like, hey, what program do you use to like cut clips?
yeah.
And it's like, oh, this isn't fun. I feel like I'm at at a board meeting now. And I had a conversation with a comic, and he was like, I was talking about my favorite special. This doesn't put me in the best light, because I was saying it's unfortunate that one of the best specials of all time is Bill Cosby himself. And my whole point was like, obviously it's unlistenable now, but if you could go back in time to 80 something, right, and listen to it, you'd be like, oh, well, this is the best. I remember being a little kid and being like, that's amazing that he could do that. And I thought his objection was going to be, hey, that's Bill Cosby, the biggest rapist of all time. Wait, are we far enough into the video that I could say rapist? We'll see. But he goes, I don't really watch comedy. And I was like, at first I thought he was going to say like, because I've heard Jim Norton
say he'd like, because you don't want to like take in bits that like subconsciously or whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to hear something, forget that you heard it, think you thought of it later. They call it kleptomnesia, right? And I get that. So, and then I also get the thing of like, I have a very hard time enjoying a special from someone that's younger than me, But that's just my own ego,
Yeah, well, I get that too. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, but so I thought it was one of those things. But upon further investigation, I found out he doesn't really watch stand-up comedy. And I was like, that is literally insane.
Yeah. It's like, how did you get into it?
Dude, it's you know what it is? Because the barrier to entry is so low. You don't have to learn how to play something. There's no equipment, which is good in a lot of ways.
You don't even have to have a full understanding of what it is.
Exactly, dude.
It's like, what do I do? Just stand here? It's like, kinda, yeah. If you want to speak.
Yikes. Because I could never conceive of a musician being like, I'm a musician, but I don't really fuck with music. You know what I mean?
There are bad musicians, and maybe as a novelty,
right?
But they still understand what the aim is.
Exactly, dude.
They're not like anti-music. You were like John Cale doing like a minute of silence as like some.
I hate that.
Yeah,
I hate that.
Yeah.
If I ever see John Cale, if he's still alive, I'm gonna fuck his ass up.
I think he is alive.
Oh, just kidding,
no
John. I'm just joking.
Was he in the Velvet Underground or no?
I don't know. Well, guys, this has been
this has been petering out with Bobby and him.
That's a great name for a podcast, petering out.
At the very least, the last.
Every episode ends with, well, all right.
Yeah. So I guess that was it's an hour.
Every podcast ends with I guess as the host, it's my home right now, right? So I'd be like, well, I'm sure you're tired. You ever have that where someone just will not refuse? Like they
Yeah.
can't pick up on any social cues whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just the worst. I remember one time my buddies and I were hanging out, and I think it was like post college, but we were all like drinking together, right? So we drank. We woke up the next day. All our cars were parked at our one buddy's house,
Yeah.
so we like carpooled to a diner, and then we're driving back, and my buddy who's driving goes, "Hey, it's been fun. We should do this again." And my one buddy goes, "Yeah, when we get back to your house, I got work this afternoon, so I could only hang out for a couple more hours."
Yeah.
Just the lack of
Yeah.
a couple more hours. Dude, I don't know. People not picking up on social cues is like my favorite thing.
It is a fun time.
But also, I'm always a little nervous that like I'm the
Yeah.
guy.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm always a little bit wary of that. I think my wife, sometimes the way she talks to me, like it makes me sound like Encino Man or something. Like I just came here yesterday, just like, hey, don't do this or don't do that. And it's like I think she thinks people could hear things I'm saying when they're from like further away. And it's like, no, you're way too worried. Like they cannot hear me saying something mean about them from over here. And it's like she's like so hypersensitive about like social appearances and like being a gracious host and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And like so she's like extra worried. And I think it's like sometimes it goes too far. And sometimes it's fair. I'm not a good person. So she's right.
I almost it's funny because you and I have like the same sensibility to like joke around.
Yeah.
But I also have a tiny bit of the paranoia
Yeah.
that I think she has, because if I'm in a public place and I'm about to talk shit about somebody, I do look over my shoulders
Yeah.
as if they could be behind me, and in theory they could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't just reserve that for black jokes. That's just for
No,
everyone.
no,
Okay.
but that's
That
the
was
old joke. Yeah. How does
How does
every
black? How does every? I wonder if people still know that joke. They
Oh,
must.
dude, I loved outside of like a comedy show.
Yeah.
I like to find like comics that I'm like are actual like
Yeah.
they have street jokes that we could trade.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I love a street joke.
What's your favorite street joke? Do you have one? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot right now.
I can't remember them too well, but like, what do you tell a woman with two black eyes? Nothing.
I don't know either.
Nothing. She's already been told twice.
Woo!
My
And-
buddy and I were in college and we were like living together in a room. Sometimes like if like we're just like late at night and we're just in a separate beds, and sometimes we would just break the silence just by repeating that joke. It's very dumb. But it's a well structured joke. It's a great joke. It's just the math of the joke is solid.
And can I, you know what I thought you were doing after? Because it's a good joke in and of itself. You know what I
Yeah.
thought you were doing was referencing something that I brought up earlier, which is that Matt Rife has a street joke in his special.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's the
oh,
street
right.
joke.
It is the black. It is the black. But his yeah. It's like something about like if she could cook, she wouldn't be or something. Yeah. She wouldn't have the pot. Yeah. I got you.
Right. Which to me, I'm like, damn, there's so many people that haven't heard what I think is one of the most popular street jokes of
Yeah.
all time.
But that's also like I think you have to be wary of in comedy is like being original. But sometimes you have to think it's like maybe I've never heard that before. But does this feel like a thing someone might have said?
Yeah.
Like you have to have that sort of awareness of it, and you have to think, seeing a woman with a black eye, someone might have made that joke. I mean, it's very hard to regulate, and there, like I said, I have not really listened to Bill Cosby's album, so I mean, I'm aware of a lot of the bits, but there's a chance I might. Well, not actually. My act is way too different from it or anything. We're not gonna run into each other. It's like I was going to the dentist.
You know what's hilarious is like you're a good guy that has fucked up jokes, and he's a fucked up guy that
Yeah.
has nice jokes.
Yeah.
So you're
All
like the exact opposite of Bill
yeah,
Cosby.
all the best.
Yeah.
But no, but like, yeah, I just think like you have to. There's always the risk of running into it,
Mhm.
but like, yeah, and I don't know if was there no one. I imagine he's surrounded by like Instagram Zoomer people, so they just would have no idea
Yeah.
that that's a joke that exists.
Yeah. They're just too young to know. They're like,
It's
I
like,
have.
yo, man, that slaps. It's like they just move on.
For real. That bussin'.
Yeah,
I refuse to believe that anybody actually talks like that.
I know for a fact they do because I was in a green room last week doing the Dan Wick's roast show,
Uh-huh.
and it was one of the comics. I forget his name. It was like young black kid, probably early 20s,
Uh-huh.
and he was talking about some. I forgot the food, but he's like, "Oh yeah, I went to that place. The food was busting." And I was like, "What? What
Excuse me?
is that a
Son,
thing?" now?
excuse me?
And he was like, he was dead earnest. He was just like, "Yep."
Mhm.
That's like, okay, I guess that's the thing people say.
My buddy works with kids, and he said that one of the little kids said, he said, my grandmother has stage 3 lung cancer. She's cooked.
I mean, is that young slang, or it's like that's almost old timey? It's like, oh, her goose is cooked.
I think a lot of young slang is like old slang.
It's like she's
Back.
is cooked, meaning she's
Mhm.
But that makes it sound like she lost like a rap battle. Yo, man, that cancer cooked her ass.
All the other white blood cells are like, oh. You ever have cancer?
No, you
No.
no.
But
Then why do you
statistically,
look like? That was a layup. Woo.
Yeah. I do have an interesting vibe. You know, you're more or less a regular guy. I mean, you got like the homeless beard thing going on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You look like you're either on the upswing or downswing from cancer. I'd say congrats, or keep your head chin up.
Imagine I'm like walking through a cancer ward.
And half the people are like, and they're just like, no. He's just starting. It's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I just thought we were all gonna clap.
Oh no, I've never had cancer. Statistically, one of us will have it. Yeah,
Is that a statistic?
I don't know.
Statistically, half the population has cancer. I mean, I know it's a pretty large number of people.
Jamie, can we look up his actual name is Connor. Connor, can we look up how likely?
What's the joke by calling him Jamie? Sorry, I didn't interrupt. Why is it funny to call him Jamie?
Oh, because the Joe Rogan Experience. It's Jamie,
Oh, right. I forgot. I thought no, it's because Jamie. I thought we saw Jamie Wolf before, so that's why I was confused.
Okay, yeah. No, Jamie's just like a regular guy that like helps Joe Rogan, and now he's like,
Yeah.
I wonder what his life is like right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he didn't sign up to be part of a pro-Trump network, but he is now. You know?
Yeah. Life worked out for him.
I've got the stats here.
What's the stats?
So, from birth to death, a male born in the United States has a 42% chance of developing invasive cancer, while females are just slightly less likely to develop cancer in their lifetime, at about 40%.
Oh, damn!
So pretty
So
close to 50%, except I wasn't born in the U.S.
you
But pretty
weren't
close to 50.
You were born in the Soviet
I
Union.
was.
Just in case they didn't hear Connor, so it's 40 something for either sex.
I got my mic on back here.
Oh, my
Bobby.
man. Okay, cool.
So there's not just like 15 seconds of us just looking straight at camera.
That's why I did. Before I knew that they heard him, I was like, it would be.
I figured since he's producing, he would know whether or not there's dead air.
Yeah, you know
I
what?
was
I'm
like,
sorry.
he's probably
Connor.
got this covered.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
So how was the Soviet Union?
I don't know. He left. I mean, my personal opinion, or just like historically, it was not a great time for people.
Yeah, because you were born in Russia,
Yeah.
right? And in fact, your name is Hebrew for one who knows God.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know you did that.
He and I, Ilya and I, for the listeners, we did a roast battle, and I was really pulling at straws at some point. Is that the expression? I was
Grasping at straws.
I was grasping at straws.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what my brain did? Pull the short straw or grasping at straws,
Yeah.
right? So I wrote, it's no matter how many roast jokes I have to write about somebody, if they give me 20, I will write 18
Yeah.
and be like, what the fuck else do I write? But if they're like, write 5, I'll write 4 and be like,
Yeah.
what the fuck else do I say?
Can I run jokes? But I'm doing a roast tomorrow. It's part of
Ooh.
the roast battle tournament or whatever.
Oh, that's so
And I
exciting.
figured I assume this will come out after we do the battle.
This is going to come out not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
Okay. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
No one's watching anything I do.
Mhm.
But I don't know anything about this guy. Like he didn't like get back to me right away.
Mm.
I like only found out last week. It's just like a young. Do you know Mike Green?
No.
Young black kid. Wears glasses.
And I think that's great.
Is that enough? I say he looks like Spike Lee if he only directed revenge porn.
Okay.
Like that. He has to get back to pretending he didn't grow up in the suburbs.
Oh yeah.
You look like a doll psychiatrists used to slowly introduce white people to black people. I say I'm looking forward to the holiday season. I didn't know Kwanzaa had elves. He's not super short, but he's roughly my height. You look like you owe child support for yourself. He used to work at a drag restaurant, and now he works with his dad. I was like, no way. You know your dad? I call him a comic book shop diversity hire. I just like this string of words. He's a blurred, which is like a black nerd, basically just someone who shows up late for Magic the Gathering tournaments. And his IG handle is MLK Reborn, which is very obnoxious. Also, if you're MLK, you'd probably want to come back as someone with a smaller head, I would think. But apparently his other dream was for another Dragon Ball Z movie. And then I say something about he looks like a valet at a P. Diddy party and random stuff. So this is obnoxious. I shouldn't have done this.
No, dude, I think you're gonna win.
Maybe.
Unless
I don't do super great at New York Comedy Club. The crowd is not always on my side. Like I said, I'm not likable. People aren't on my side.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna win.
I regret that last 5 minutes. I shouldn't have done that.
No,
I would
no.
If anyone else had done that, I would say, fuck you, no.
We gotta, you gotta do something. You gotta say something.
I know you gotta pad this somehow.
No. So this guy, I've never heard of him. Maybe he's a great joke writer. I do think that you have this in the bag, provided he's not cool.
Yeah.
Man, he is a black guy. But you also said he's a blurred.
Well, I think he kind of looks like one, but I think I've watched a couple of bad. I mean, he doesn't have that much out there, but like I think he just says the N-word a lot. He kind of has this like slam poetry.
So you have something in common with him.
Yeah, we both are really like we both say it with confidence, but no one thinks either of us should be doing it.
Yeah. I once did I was judging a roast battle, and a man who could be identified as a blurred. Yeah. Right. And I'm sure it's been said before, but like whatever. As a judge, you should say a joke about each person you're judging, right? Yeah. So I was like, I don't think you should be saying the N-word. And it got a big pop, and he went, "Oh, real original." I'm like, ooh, I touched a nerve. Yikes. I inserted myself into racial politics that I don't fully understand. Yeah.
But I mean, but it's insane for him to get mad at you for saying, hey, I don't think you should use that word.
Yeah, it is. I will say, people getting their actual feelings hurt at a roast battle is so very enjoyable.
It is very. You can't let it happen. I mean, I don't know how it can ever really. If you understand the concept, like it shouldn't happen, but like, to get him, like you can't show that It's like prison. You can't ever show that weakness ever.
I remember one time I told this guy he looks like he calls women females, and I think the
black guy, or like a wigger guy. I'm just trying to imagine who the target of the joke would be.
He was Latino, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
So it probably does, but I said that, and it got a big pop, and there were like a group of hot girls laughing, and I think that really bothered him. Yeah.
His Latino pride can't let women laugh at him.
His machismo was
keep Latins out of comedy. That's what I say. Right?
You're always saying that, which I think is inappropriate.
That. And I agree. It's not caught on. No one's signed my petition. I'm just out there on the streets by myself, keeping the message alive.
So I've been asking comedians lately if you've had any weird interactions with audience members after shows, because I feel like that's something we all have in common. Especially because like we, a lot of times we're very self-deprecating, or we tell truths about ourselves that you wouldn't normally find out about a stranger upon meeting them. And then people are like, respond to that in like a weird way, especially when alcohol is involved.
I was doing there's a comedy festival out in LA a couple months ago, and one of the other so it was not an audience member, it was another I didn't know who he was, but afterwards he went up to me backstage. I was like, I really like how vulnerable you are up there. And I'm like, did you watch? Like, what are you talking about? It's because I have jokes about having OCD, but to me in my head I'm like, that's a joke, and then here's a tag for the joke, and blah blah blah. Right. And for him it's like, oh, he's really opening up out there. And it's like, oh, we're operating on two different planes of understanding of what this is.
Well, I really like that though, because you're thinking I'm not being vulnerable because it's not like I have OCD and here's my story. Yeah. It's like I have OCD, and the thing about OCD is joke number 1, joke number 2, joke number 3. But most people who have OCD
Yeah.
keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? So in that
Yeah.
sense, you were being vulnerable.
I guess. I think yeah, I don't know. It's just like I've sometimes you get weird. I remember there was this guy who used to hang out by Climate all the time. He was like a Indian guy
Which is a Polish restaurant in Lower Manhattan that no longer does comedy shows.
or food. I think they did one. They're not too. It doesn't matter. But I was gonna say like who gives a shit. But no. But he used to hang. And then one time he's like, and this was maybe early on when I was sort of like first couple years. It was like I really like that you talk about the stuff that no one else. And it's just like and it was like one of those times where it was like. It was one of those things where it's like, oh, I kind of like your dark jokes, but like you kind of think I don't think he appreciates them for the same reason that I appreciate them, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, I think we're not. I think you're like the wrong kind of. You know how they talk about like the toxic fans, or like I think he's like, I'm just telling ironic jokes, but I think you might not be.
Yeah, that's what made like the whole Tony Hinchcliffe thing, and I
Yeah.
know everybody's talking about it and still talking about it, but what made it really frustrating to me is I'm like, dude, doing edgy jokes is gonna become like almost impossible.
Yeah,
Because and you could say like, oh, he wasn't supporting Trump, but like when you open for someone at a
and he
political
specifically
rally,
said like I know sleep comfortably knowing who I'm voting. Like he did endorse Trump. It was a political rally, so like
yeah,
it is what it is.
So because and this weird thing happened where when Tony told that, you know, mid-tier roast joke about Puerto Rico,
Yeah,
and like comedians that I know
Yeah.
have said edgier stuff than that
Yeah.
are like, this is racist. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
the problem is that he opened for Trump, but the joke itself is fun.
it's a fine joke.
Yeah.
You know, when people say, "Oh, it's a hack joke," it's like it's a funny
Yeah.
misdirect. It's like, oh, Garbage Island. It's called Puerto Rico.
you
fine
know what
joke.
people don't realize is when you read it in a headline,
Yeah,
then you're not in the mood to laugh.
yeah.
You know, any joke that you read or hear of outside the mindset of like, ooh, this is going to be funny is
Yeah.
not going to be funny.
Yeah,
Like,
that was the joke that like when Lenny Bruce talked about when he was doing his trials, and he was like he was talking about how like he had to read out transcript of his materials. Like, yeah, it's not as funny when I'm saying them there. It's like that's not how it's like, yeah, you need the context of
There's this old video. It's in the early aughts. It was
Lemon Party. Yeah, that's it. I'm with you.
check it out, guys. Check out Lemon Party if you have a chance. This is not the first time Lemon Party has come up, and my poor girlfriend, she listens to this podcast, and she
Yeah.
was like, so I checked out Lemon Party,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Has she seen Meat Spin? I'm trying to think of early two. Those are the only two things I remember from the early
Meat
2000s.
Spin is good. Oh man, I remember like one morning we were hanging out, and I was doing the dishes, and I was talking to her about One Guy, One Jar.
Yeah,
And you know One Guy, One
Yeah.
Jar? So for the listeners, One Guy, One Jar is one guy puts one jar up his ass and then pulls the bloody shards out of his asshole, right?
Yeah.
And I'm describing this to her just nonchalantly while I'm doing the dishes, and she's like, it is 7 a.m. That's crazy. I'm like, oh, that is kind of fucked up. I just have
I
shit
probably
like that
shouldn't be so casual about it.
floating around in my
Yeah.
mind. But yeah. Sorry. So early odds, Eminem had come out, and Eminem now, like, if anything, if people talk pejoratively about Eminem, it's about how he's like corny,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But back then he was like Marilyn Manson level.
Yeah,
like,
he
you
was
know, Alice
he was
Cooper.
legit controversy.
Yeah, and he has a song called "Kill You,"
Yeah.
where he's slut. You think I won't choke no whore to the vocal cords don't work in her throat no more, which some people consider distasteful,
Yeah.
right? And there was a congressional hearing about it,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
crazy. And Lynn Cheney is there back before Lynn Cheney was the good guy, in my opinion. Gonna get some hate from that. But she's asking like some record executive
Yeah.
like about that song, and she's like, well, you have to understand it's a character, it's art, it's not meant to be taken literally. And she goes, can you read the lyrics of the first verse, ma'am? And she's just like, I won't do that, but you have to and I was just like, what a predicament she's in.
Yeah.
Because if she goes, sluts, you think I won't choke no whore So the vocal cords don't work in her throat no more. It's not gonna.
Yeah.
She's butchering it, dude.
No.
You know.
But that would make like a great like sample for like I couldn't remember the word sample.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like another song later on.
Well, have you heard Ben Shapiro's version of "Wet Ass Pussy"?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard him. Just
Dude,
reading
I fucked my I fucked up my YouTube algorithm for like a week
that. Yeah,
because I was just listening to Ben Shapiro talk about his wet ass pussy.
yeah.
And YouTube is like, do you want to hear what he has to say about other stuff? I'm like, not really.
If it's not wet ass pussy related, then no.
If you don't involve the gash,
I don't think you understand what
want
I'm interested in the wet ass pussy part, not the Ben Shapiro part. If you have
Just-
other,
just
Never
showing up
see
at one
Jew-
of his rallies.
yeah, if you have Rabbi Shmuley singing the song, I'll also check that out. If you have a good remix,
Mr. Shapiro, thank you for coming to our college. My question is, when you recorded "Wet Ass Pussy," now obviously you're a cisgendered man, so you don't actually have a pussy. So does the pussy represent maybe the welfare state? And they just get thrown out immediately.
I don't know if they'd get the question that far out.
Yeah, I think as soon as pussy left
I
my
think
lips.
once you say pussy, they're like, yeah, we're gonna cut to some. young
Have you ever
conservative.
watched The Sopranos?
I have.
I am fascinated by the storyline that all of the Sopranos guys, because they're like macho, old school, middle-aged Italian guys,
Yeah.
think that eating pussy is gay.
Yeah, the Junior Soprano. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
Because we both grew up around the same time, the early aughts, right?
Yeah.
And it was
A pussy eating revolution. That's what we used to say in the early aughts.
yeah, when we were in 4th grade.
Would wave flags that says "Proud Pussy Eaters." That was a big thing.
Yeah.
No, I think what's that song? That Ghetto Boys song. It's like he's like, "Damn, feels good to be a gangster." And he's like, one of the lines is like, "I ain't no something pussy eating pranks." And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a weird pejorative. It's like when this guy eats pussy. It's like, oh, okay, that's gay.
Hey, bro, I heard you're trying to make your spouse happy. Gay. Yeah.
It's like, but it's so funny.
It's because to me, any sort of like hyper masculine thing is, I find most of it silly, but I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh, I understand why you would feel that way, but I literally can't wrap my head around like,
It doesn't feel too subservient because she's getting all the pleasure from it, and you're just, I mean, I don't know. It's like that perception. It's like a perception that you're not being dominant in that position.
yeah, which is like, do you have to be dominant at all times?
Which is very gay to be concerned about.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, it is. I think because it's like, oh, what are the boys gonna think? If you're thinking about your boys in the bedroom,
Yeah.
that's kind of gay.
Yeah.
But
But I mean,
which I think is great.
we agreed that we'd FaceTime every time we fuck. So what am I supposed to do? I can't break that contract.
So Ilya, other than your new drying machine,
Yeah.
what other things have you added to the routine?
I don't think anything else has been added. I've been getting a lot more heartburn lately.
Shit, dude, have you been
brutal.
taking Tums?
No, I think we have like what's it? Oteprazole, whatever. It's like another thing.
Uh huh.
It's been good.
Have you tried to fuck with your diet at all?
No, I don't do anything about it. I don't want to fuck. I don't want to fuck with the dials. I'll just keep everything where they at. Where I have sporadic diarrhea and nightly heartburn. I don't want to make things worse.
Mhm.
Don't want to risk making things better. Just keep-
Oh, you don't want to risk making
Nah,
things.
I'm a
better?
big status quo guy.
Okay, yeah. Hey, that'll get you criticized nowadays.
Yeah,
You
gotta
gotta
take
be for radical revolution one way or the other. Otherwise, the algorithm doesn't mess with you at all.
Yeah, you gotta take a stance on
Mhm. I do like the idea of like, you're like, listen, if I start eating fruits and vegetables, it might
Yeah.
upset the balance, and then suddenly everything's worse.
Yeah. Don't you enjoy having diarrhea sometimes? Don't you find it kind of like
It is sort of fun.
it is, right?
It is.
It's a more satisfying release than just
Mhm.
regular healthy.
But I do like or prefer over diarrhea, like a big log, like a giant
Yeah.
log. It makes me feel like such a man. dude.
Yeah. But that's where like going back to the thing you said earlier, if I
Mhm.
was rich, I would just be like, knock me out and like a nightly colonic. Like I don't just like clear me out, take care of all that stuff.
How much money do you pay?
I don't think you have to be. I think Elon Musk could be easily doing what I'm proposing. I think is very within the grasp of not even billionaires. I think millionaires. You just have to be able to hire staff.
Okay. How much money do you pay
I don't know if it's healthy to get anesthetized every night. Now that I think about it, that might not be healthy. Now that you're really putting my hand putting it to the fire, I'm like, I don't think nightly and anesthetic is the best approach.
It'd be such a funny way to die because
I died 2 weeks into it. I was giving him his nightly colonic. It's like, yeah, you can't just do that. You can't take propofol that often recreationally to sleep just because you don't want to floss by yourself.
it's not even you die from drugs, but it's not even like for a cool rock star reason.
Yeah, it's like he had the thing with his gums.
Oh man, I don't know. I do think that there's so many unnecessary things you could cut out, like just the mundaneness of life you could cut out by having like a staff that would take care of everything.
That's why celebrities have an assistant. It's like, I don't want to do emails and texts and arrange schedules and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like all that shit. Cut everything out except anything that makes me happy. Like Marie Kondo said.
Yeah, you hold something and
she
if
said, hire someone to evacuate the shit from your body while you're sleeping. I read between the lines, but that's basically what she meant.
Have you read any of her books?
I have not. She had multiple. I threw them out because they didn't give me joy. I should have given them a chance first, I'll be honest.
Well, folks, if you have book recommendations for Ilya, this has been the Before Hours podcast, an internet radio phenomenon hosted by an occasional morning person, where it's the most interesting people I know about their sleep, routine, life, love, stress, and setbacks. Ilya, tell the folks where they can find you.
Find me on all social media, Ilya Laksin, ILYALAKSIN, and you'll probably see me doing roasts because that's the only thing I get booked for.
Hell yeah, brother. And remember, folks, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm just playing night owls. You know I love you.
Thank you.